Hey guys, welcome to our podcast where it has to be said. Unfortunately, I am partially by myself. Um, Elvis did not want to record this week, but we do have a special guest who has chosen to remain off camera if they want to introduce themselves.
Hi guys.
Get closer to the mic.
Hi guys.
Is Elenice your favorite guest who does not want to be on camera? She's very exclusive. You have to book her well in advance, and her face cannot be seen on camera. She's very famous and stuff like that, so she needs to not be on camera. But here we are. Mother's Day is this weekend, so we're gonna just talk a little bit about motherhood, the relationship of a mother and daughter, because I have two, and yeah. Eloise has some questions. So I don't know if she wants to throw some of those first.
Yes, yes I do.
You gotta get close to the mic, mommy.
Um yeah. So you want me to just say them?
Just start with one.
Okay.
Don't I need to like think and process the
Let's see.
question.
Hmm. Let's see. How did you handle the initial shock of finding out you were pregnant?
How did I handle the initial shock of finding out that I was pregnant? All right. So, uh clearly I was sexually active. Clearly. And I had missed my period and I had cramps. I had like a weird stomach pains. And I told Elvis, your dad, I'm like, I think I'm pregnant. And he's like, no, you're not. He was at work and he's just like, no, you're not. You're good. Cause he was, I want to say 18 at the time and I was 17. No, he was 19 and I was 17 at the time. So anyways, he's working. For those who don't know, he came from Puerto Rico at the age of 18. So he literally came here and started working because what is there to do to beside because you need to financially maintain yourself. So he came to work, and we were dating at that time. We only had been dating for a year. So, anyways, I'm like, I think I'm pregnant, and so I was nervous. And prior to that, I've never gone to the doctor by myself. Like I had never gone to any type of an appointment by myself. It's not like my grandma ever left me at a clinic to go handle the appointment by myself while she's in the car or doing something. Like, no, I've always gone with her. So the moment she knew, like, she already knew the moment I told her I'm going to go to the doctor really quick. So I went to the office. They did they took the urine sample and I was positive for pregnancy. um, I was shocked. I didn't cry or anything, but I was definitely shocked in that clinic, nervous because I'm like, what are we gonna do? Not in the sense where it was like, what are we gonna do? I'm not keeping it. It was, how am I going to handle this? How am I gonna tell people? Like, it was just so many things. I was just entering my senior year in high school. Ellie's just laughing. You could and shaking her head. I was just entering my senior year in high school. I was in active in the church, so that's a whole nother conversation. um, Ellie's shaking her head in disapproval. So it was a very interesting time, and I called Elvis. I was with someone from a program that I used to go to for after school. Mark, he was there with me, supporting me. Obviously, the nurses there, their first option was to make a decision to abort. Um, and that was never an option for me. I just kind of felt like even at that age, that I, I wanted to be grown, right? In the sense, like I was being sexually active, So if being sexually active meant I should have also been responsible, meaning using protection. At that age, it's not like I had those conversations with my grandmother about, you know, contraceptives and all these things. However, if I didn't know of these things enough, right, or I chose to ignore what others have probably mentioned, educated at that time in school and whatnot, then maybe I wasn't responsible enough to do it. So I'm like, well, I did it, so I need to own up for the decisions I make. So aborting was never an option. I think I was more scared of what everyone was gonna say. I think that's if I had to kind of say how did what I felt, I think it was that fear of what everyone was gonna say. Um, how did I handle that the pregnancy? I think and I've said it in other episodes, I think I withdrew from a lot of people. There was a lot of shame um, for being pregnant towards myself because I should have known better. People said comments of like, but you're so smart, like book smart, was equivalent to having, I guess, common sense and not getting pregnant. um, so yeah, it was a little bit of a shock. I was very scared of what people were gonna say, rightfully so, because it was just very interesting after that, and nervous because I didn't know what I was gonna do, and I was just another statistic because my mom also had got pregnant in her earlier teenage years. So I just yeah, it was a little combination of a number of feelings.
Okay, okay, okay.
Any follow up questions on that?
Yeah, adding on to that, um, how did becoming a mom at a young age change your relationship with your friends?
Oh, that's a good one. Um, well, hmm, I'm trying to think. It was I'm trying to think. There was very limited people that I kind of stood involved in. There were some people that from my high school that even went with me to like even a doctor's appointment, visited after I gave birth. I think it just shifted. Well, one, I never at that time got to experience like going out to parties. Like I was never allowed to do anything if it wasn't a school activity. So I never got to do anything outside. Literally my first even school party that I went to, I went pregnant because I was already pregnant my senior year. And I got to go because I was already emancipated. So I was already married to your dad. So I was already living out of my grandma's home. So who was going to tell me, no, don't go? Like that, I didn't have that. So that's the only time I got to go and have, I would say, some normal teenage stuff. So I think it just shifted where I think almost unconsciously people kind of knew if they were going to see me, they had to basically come visit me. Even though that didn't stop me from growing out. Like I gave birth to you, and I will say that I gave birth. Maybe it was because I was so young. No, I think we were like that with Alina too. But that didn't stop me from doing things. Like I remember still taking Alanis by myself with my friends to Playland Beach. Back then, I didn't have a car or a license, so we would take the bus to Playland. So I would take the car seat and everything. So it didn't stop me. But the friendships changed because there's just things I couldn't do anymore, right? It wasn't like I can just be like, yeah, let's go hang out, let's go do this. I had to think of you, I had to consider you, and it's not like I had a babysitter 24/7. Like your great grandmother, my grandmother was very adamant about only staying with you when I had to go to school. Like it wasn't like I had a free babysitter um all the time. I think she's actually become more laxed in that than when she was when I first had you because I guess I was so young and I don't think she wanted me to repeat certain behaviors she had to see from others.
Mm, I get that. I get that.
Do you get that?
Yes.
How else do you think my friendships would have changed?
Um, I can see people drifting from you, but not purposely. I think it's just a different dynamic. Like your lifestyle changed once you had, because you couldn't do certain things, you know. And I feel like originally though, you weren't like that.
Like what?
Like you weren't out, like you weren't party person. You weren't doing bad things. So regardless, those friends that you probably had didn't do like that type of stuff, anyways.
No, I had friends that like to do stuff. It was a mix.
So you had a mix.
I had a
Same.
mix, but I think that, you know, for the friends that have stuck around or been around for so long since that time, they learn to kind of love your children. And that's really what you want. You want relationships that formulate, that can love your children as their own and are understanding of when you're not available or I have to cancel because the baby's sick, and not get offended because it really alters your life. It's not the only thing in your life, but it takes a big part of your life. And having people that understand that make it a lot easier. And also for us to understand that, yeah, there's some people that just because they drifted away doesn't mean they didn't care for you. It's just they had other things going on, right? It's not like I had a whole bunch of friends that were having children. It was like a few of us of the church that did, but we all kind of, besides just one friend, we all kind of went. We were all doing our own thing, right? It was like it was just different for for a lot of us.
Yeah, I get that. You want me?
Yeah, yeah. Next question, but get closer to the
Okay.
mic.
What were some of the biggest challenges you faced as a teenage mom?
Oh, the biggest challenges as a teenage mom. Hmm. I would say one is um, the negative criticism. And I don't think it's necessarily, yes, what others people said and commented regarding me being pregnant, regarding me being young, bothered, but I don't think anything bothered more than the things I thought and felt of myself. I think for a long time, I carried the guilt and the shame from just the sin of sinning and doing wrong before God's eyes. So I think that was very heavy on me for a long time. And even after a few years passing of you as you got older, I still, it's almost like I always resulted to defining myself like, oh yeah, I had a baby when I was young. Oh, like, oh yeah, I was statistic. Like oh yeah, I messed up. Um, I kind of did it so that in case they were thinking about it, it was like, oh yeah, like I know, you know. For a long time, it was just that, and I had to learn to navigate through that, where I had to kind of forgive myself for sinning, right? Because it was very heavy on me that, and also just be kind to myself in that sense. So I think one of the hardest challenges has been the negative self-talk. I think and that doesn't pass. I think regardless of your age when you have a child, as for speaking as a woman and a mom, we are very critical of ourselves, right? There's standards that we feel we need to be, right? Oh, I need to do XYZ. I need to be this type of mom, do this kind of thing. So when we don't meet those expectations on ourselves, then we're a lot harder on ourselves, and then the negative self talk starts operating, and we're like, oh, we're never gonna be good enough. I'm not good enough of a mom. I'm not worthy to be their mom. All these things operating in our mind that are not necessarily true. Necessarily true. So I would say negative self talk. I think another challenge has been as a teenage mom is wanting to, and I'm gonna cry, wanting to live life. Um, it was very hard in the beginning because um, I didn't get to enter into what is called a normal adulthood, you know, and it's not. And I'm crying because I don't want you to think I don't regret you ever. Um, but there's just things I didn't get to do at a normal pace. But at the same time, my body, my mind wanted to experience it, right? So I didn't get to experience going to college away. I didn't get to, like, it was, I literally left, like, the best way I explain to people is like I left from one home sharing a bed with my grandmother to now sharing a bed with a man. Like, I didn't have that space to, like, I've never experienced having my own room. So I didn't even get to like learn to live on my own, which are, I think, are pivotal points to adulthood. Like, I didn't get a chance to be alone, to understand what it's like to be alone with yourself, kind of finding yourself. So I think that was very hard as a teenage mom, that I had to test. I tested, God knows, I tested so many waters while being a teenage mom, trying to find adulthood, going to college, trying to find work. It was just so much to navigate all at the same time. So I think that, yeah, that was, I think that was the hardest, that we had to navigate. I had to navigate everything, and not only adding that, but then having so many issues with your dad in the beginning. So that all just made it so, the first 5 6 years, I think, were the most chaotic. Your first 5 to 6 years of life, and it wasn't even about you. Like, you were such a great baby. Like, I have no complaints. Like, you were like the ideal baby to have for a first parent. I think God knows why he gave us you and not Alina type at that age, because I don't even know where I would be right now if
I appreciate
um with that personality. So I think that I would say that just, it was just such uh a shock, and it was just so hard to manage it all, and then you have no choice to manage it all,
it.
because if I didn't, then what? I'm going to have CPS knocking down our door, if I didn't care for you, if I neglected you. So a lot of what I wanted had to be put aside, um for a little bit. For a little bit. It wasn't that it was fully put away, but I had to negate and deny myself to a lot of things. And as a parent, you have to do that, right? Regardless of the age. And that's a hard thing to come to terms with, I think, in general, for any parent. Because even as an adult, I had Alina at a, what would society might deem, a more proper age. And even having her at that age was still also a shock, emotionally, mentally. And again, repeating again, having to negate and pause certain things because I had to kind of navigate that. Yeah, fun times. I don't even know if I answered the question,
I think you did
because I digressed, and then.
answer some multiple questions.
Okay.
And we'll go a little more positive route. What are some of the most rewarding aspects of being a teenage
um, had I not added Alina, right? Um, I would have been almost done with the tough part, right? Because she would have been entering a different phase of early adulthood in like 3 more years. I think you learn so much from having a child. I'm trying to think of how and what words to put it. Um, it really helped me mature a lot. I had to grow. You helped me mature. You helped me realize that there was areas in my life that I had to heal, with regards to my own parents and my own childhood. And I think that's a positive, where um it gives you a different perspective, and gives you a different motivation to want to do better and grow. We've had also amazing times. Like, we've been able to go to Puerto Rico together. This was all before even Alina. We got to go to Puerto Rico together. I think if I didn't have you, I don't know where I would be, honestly. I probably would have got to go away and probably been a hot mess because I wasn't making the best choices right before I got pregnant. Um, so I probably would have been a hot mess. And you've just brought joy, like in just having you. I was looking at pictures of us. Is it was always just us home because your dad was always working a lot, and we just have videos of you singing, of doing things. We've done tea parties together. We've played dress up. Just having, I don't want to say a friend, but you know, having someone who loves you unconditionally. Because as a child, your child loves you no matter what. So even if you scream at them, they're gonna love you no matter what. So having a true definition of unconditional love has been a perk. So I got to get the experience that from early on
Oh,
because I'm a teenage mom.
you're welcome. Okay. You want me to still keep on?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, how did you manage to juggle your responsibilities as a mom and still have time for yourself?
Mm. How did I learn to juggle the responsibilities as a mom? Hmm. I think I've gotten better over the time, right? One, for anyone who says the contrary, money helps. Because the beginning was a struggle. The beginning was a real struggle because at the first year I didn't work. I just went to school. Um, People ask this all the time, and I don't even know how to answer. You just do it. I remember I gave birth to you June. My grandma was like, you gotta go to school. So I registered. I was at John Jay and starting September. And I remember when I first started there at John Jay, they put me into like some honors society program. And one of the classes that I needed started at 8 a.m. And I had to get up at 5 in the morning, take the bus to grandma's, leave you there, take the bus back to the train station to then go take the train to the city to the class, do my classes, come back home to pick you up, and then go back home and repeat. And in that time, a lot of it was me. So always was there working and providing, for the home, but I had to end up doing everything else on my own. So that was hard, but I just did it. I had no choice. I knew that it was necessary for me to progress to go to school because it wasn't like it's not like I had many talents at that point that I could just like start selling stuff or anything. So I knew that for me school was going to be necessary. So I just did it, and then it became, you have no choice. I think that's really what it comes down to because if I didn't do that, then who? Right? If I didn't get up every day to go to school, who was going to go do that? If I didn't get up to take you to medical appointments, who was going to do that? If I didn't get up at night when you woke up to cry, who was going to do that? Because your dad was not eh, he can take his hat off and give himself credit for a lot of things, but Elvis to wake up at night for feedings, the worst. The worst. Granted, yes, he worked, but I know fathers that work and still get up and take turns at night. But anyways, you just do it. You just do it. I think that if you want to do something and achieve it, it's possible. It's gonna cost. Um, Maybe give you some gray hairs. Maybe it's gonna cost tears, but it could be done. You know, you just need one person. You need one person on your side to help hold you down, right? So for me, it was having grandma to babysit so that I can go to school. Even though the college did have like a daycare, but I didn't want to do that. I considered it, and I'm like, oh my god, I cannot. Like, it's just gonna be too much. So yeah, you just have to do it. You just have to do it. You have to push through. Because if you don't, then who? And it's not possible. It's not impossible. And I think that for me, one of the what's helped me get through it has been God. Um, Emotionally, spiritually, like He's helped me kind of give me the strength to move forward. And grandma was very helpful in the beginning when sometimes even your dad wouldn't was stingy with even money. Like this is it's crazy because when I look back at so many things, your dad is such a different man, right? And not that he was a horrible man, but he there was a lot of things, right? So grandma was also helpful. Like I'll be like, oh, can I get $20 for this? Like she would still send me money sometimes, to help me out because I didn't have money, and then to ask your dad for money was just like a thing. So all those things also were my drive. Like I didn't want to be that way. I didn't want to be, and it's just for me. Everyone to each their own. I didn't want to be the one to have to ask Elvis or any man like, "Oh, I need this amount of money," and then they'd be like, "For what?" No, if I want to be able to get my hair done, I want to be able to get my nails done. I want to be able to do things for myself. So you just have no choice. You just have no choice. I think that's the best thing I can say. And it takes practice, right? So there's going to be seasons where you're going to be able to navigate certain things better than others. There's going to be seasons that you're going to get hit probably with other circumstances that are out of your control that are going to probably cause you to have to put a pause on certain things. But reevaluate, check in with yourself and see, what am I doing to nurture myself? Because if you're not good as a mom, nothing else is going to function, right? And if you're not healthy, emotionally, mentally, physically, it's going to bleed over into everything that you touch. So whether it's your family, your work, your home, it's going to show.
So I want to ask a personal question.
Okay.
How did it affect, like, having, because, you got Bobby's family now, and then you had your family. So did you get closer? Because, I know you had, like, a rocky start with your family. But then having me in your life bring you closer to them. And, you also gained another family with Bobby. So, like, how was it?
That's a good question. I would say for actually, that's so funny because let me see if it's here. Let me see. Where is it? It's funny because I used to have a blog called Tumblr, and I used to post in the blog as a way of kind of helping me process feelings. And in a post that I had did in 2015, I had put my mother and we never had the average mother-daughter relationship. I was raised by my grandmother and always saw my mother as a friend. I had my reservations about certain choices she's made in her life regarding my brothers and I. However, the more time I'm able to spend with her now, the more I understand. She really is a strong and loving person. Despite all that she has been through, she did the best that she could, and for that I love her. It's never too late to start new or mend a relationship, and I'm really happy that we live in the same city. After so many years apart, we can meet after work for dinner and talk about anything. Sometimes life doesn't work the way we want, but at least I was still given the chance to know my mother, to love her, and have a relationship with her. So, to answer your question, having you helped me see a different side of motherhood, right? Because as a child, we can only see from our perception, right? Where how we're feeling, what our level understanding is at that age. And that's okay, right? But then it comes to a point that you mature and you get older and you start seeing like, oh, there's another side to the story. There's other things that were going on. And having you made me see that one, it's not easy to have a kid at a young age. One. Two, the even for me, like even the grandmother I have, the version of grandma I have is not the version that my mother had as a mom. And that gives you kind of a little bit more of perspective, and helps you be more empathetic to your parent when you see all these other things. And having you kind of open that bridge, and even it's even helped me in my, not, I wouldn't say relationship, but even in understanding my father. Like, the more I had you and interact even with Elvis, I was able to kind of keep an open mind on that. So I would say it helped me see a different side of my mom. We were able to grow closer, partly because she also moved to the Bronx at that time. So I got to see her a little bit more. And then Colin was your age too. So we got to spend time with you guys together. And her being here also allowed me to be closer to my brothers. But I didn't get to experience a lot of the brother sister relationship with them because I had you early. So then I shifted. I'm a mom. So my priority was my immediate family, which was you. Um and I've gained an extended family. They're great. It hasn't been easy because we were there's a lot of different characters, right? Everyone has different tempers and moods and their own situation going on. And also, a lot of them I met, with the exception of Nana and Melanie, because I knew them before I knew your dad.
That's so crazy
Yeah,
to
so I
say.
had a relationship with both of them before because we all went to the same church. So I had a relationship with them from before your dad even came in the picture, versus where Kami and Maylene came after, and the dynamic was a little different because they basically almost met me when me and Elvis were not in the best terms. No, actually no. Kami was here for the pregnancy for you. So Kami and me got really close. She was like, oops, sorry. She was everywhere with me, like literally everywhere we went during the pregnancy. And then Maylene came after when me and Elvis were not in great terms. So it was a different dynamic. But I would say nonetheless, like over the years, we've all learned to have a good relationship. So I have sisters that I don't get to have, biologically through them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, hmm. Okay. Give me a second. Fill up my list. Um, hold on. I gotta read which one's best. I think
All
which
right.
one.
Think of Lily's your best one more question.
Hmm. You know, you didn't answer half of this question, so not the one before, not this one.
Okay.
It was how did you have time for yourself, if you did?
Oh, how? Like, what did I do for time for time for
Like,
myself?
how did you juggle your responsibilities and have time for yourself?
Mm. Um, but that's part of why I say like it took practice to learn. So not every time I really gave myself time. Sometimes I neglected myself. Um, but also it helped having your dad get on board, right? Like, so after some time, he kind of got the idea that okay, I need to be able to go out too without you, because I took you almost everywhere. But there were times that I'm like, no, like I want to be able to go hang out with my friends in the city. I want to be able to go do something just the girls. Um, so he finally got on board at some point. So I was able to do that a little bit more. In the beginning, it was harder. Now that we're all older, it's a little different because, I'll navigate sometimes a finagle thing to myself or not. But now, also, as you get older, time for yourself looks a little different. So, like, I'm okay with just a 45-minute cycling class in the basement. Like, I'm okay with that. Or I'm okay with being able to go get my hair done. Um, and that's enough to kind of help me reset.
Get that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you feel hearing all this to close out?
I'm not sure. I think I learned a few things. There's some things I feel like you've told me about.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just I don't know, it just gives me a different perspective because it's like I feel like now like I really because you say 17, 18. you don't really think that's young, but like,
You're right there. That's
cause
why.
it's like you see like my friends. I have friends that are juniors, and it's like now that I'm in high school, I feel like that's like so. It's so weird. So I'm like, I be thinking in I'm like, you could be pregnant right now, like this literally, and I have thought about that. Like I've seen some of my friends, I'm like they could be pregnant, and that literally was my mom, and it's just kind of crazy to me because like you think because people say 18, that's when you start maturing, and that's like when your life really starts, but it's like especially like you did it before you were 18.
Can you imagine doing that
It's
with a
like
baby?
yeah, you have your kid, and it's like what do I do? Because I'm just starting my journey. I just left high school. It's so crazy to me because like you were like junior senior year. That's like junior is your hardest year, first of all.
And then senior year supposed to be your best year.
Yeah, and you couldn't even like
No prom,
yeah, like that's
nothing.
it's just kind of crazy to me because I feel like a lot of people, if they were in your place, they wouldn't be able to do
That's true.
it. And you know, Bobby may have had his faults, but him just being there, at
Makes
least
a difference.
trying,
Yep.
makes a difference. I mean, I don't know his what he used to do, but
Yeah. No, I was toxic too, though. I'm not even
I
gonna.
know. But you
We
guys,
know. Everybody knows.
yeah, but you
We've
guys
been through
were
it.
17,
But we
18.
made it.
Well,
We made it. He
he
was
was
19,
19,
19, 19.
different, but he came from Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
So it's like he came from somewhere completely different.
And that's a whole other
Yeah,
story
so
too.
it's so many things that came into play, but you guys still did it. So I feel like I still can't like still weird thinking about because
Good. No, keep it weird so that it doesn't become a
it's
comfortable
like
thought for you.
you really because now that I'm in high school, I really see how young you were,
Yeah.
and it's just crazy how like my friends could be pregnant, like I know they wouldn't be able to handle it.
Oh,
So
thank you. That's a
so
compliment.
it really does force you to mature.
Yeah.
But you had to take it on yourself. Like you had to tell yourself that I'm ready to do it. I'm gonna do this. Cause some people's first thought is not even having it.
Yeah.
And the fact that you even think about it, it just really shows that like you took responsibility. It's not even being about being mature. It's just like I did this. I have to own up to it, and I'm gonna deal with it.
So, with that said, how would you rate me as a mom from a scale of 1 to 10?
Can't tell you that. Can't boost your ego, but keep it mysterious.
Come on, give me a.
No, I feel like
Is it above a 6?
yes. I think
Uh-huh.
you're a good mom, and I think you've just gone through stuff, and I feel like we've grown together, mother
We
and
did.
daughter.
That's the not fun part of being the first child, but we've been able to fix some of our mistakes.
Started from the bottom.
And
Now
now we're here. I love you, Ellie. All right. So it had to be said, and it was said.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.